Break un poco.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Teahjay.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another edition of Friday Night Debate on Focus on Liberia. My name is Teahjay, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In tonight's edition of Friday Night Debate, we're going to look at the leaked audio from Prince Johnson, or the alleged leaked audio, if I want to be politically correct, from Prince Johnson. Supreme Court, there were cases taken to the Supreme Court, election cases. Supreme Court the ones against Nathaniel Fallout McGill and Milton Teahjay. This and more, let me welcome Mrs. Alice Wilson Moba. Alice, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dennis. It's always a pleasure being here.
Let me mention Alice is independent. Let me also welcome Ibwaka supporter, Mr. Aliyu Samba Kamara. Mr. Kamara, welcome to Friday Night Debate.
Thank you, Dennis. Thanks for having me.
Last but not the least is our FOL political analyst, Mr. Mohammed Sharif, a product of Waplo Institute, all the way from Kilipo, Kanweke in River G. Mr. Sharif, welcome.
Dennis, it's good to be here. It's been a while.
Welcome. Let me welcome all our viewers from across the globe. If you have not done so already, please share the show, invite someone, and let's debate some of the hot-button political issues in our country, Liberia. First, we woke up to a leaked audio where Prince Johnson, or Senator Prince Johnson of Nimba County, is talking to somebody about Honorable Boakai.
Dennis, I have to go out and come back in, Dennis, because
we started Boakai, then you go out. So let me start with what people, what we heard, and we're going to listen to the audio now and take it from there.
This man is not. I went through the night, sleepless night. I suffered day and night for 4-5 months, making the arrangement. They put Naomi Kanga Lauren one side. She was to be the running mate to the man. And Costa there. Today, they push everybody one side and take home. We are fighting for Nimba County to take the lead. And Nimba will win. In the name of Jesus. Basa with us. Bapoli with us. Women with us. Gofa with us. One country with us. What is your problem? Then you on the radio on me. Hey, my brother. What I do? All right. You gotta change. Because you know your boss cannot cover the whole delegate. We're fighting for you. We are fighting for you. We're begging you people. It's you make the man disgrace, or it will be good for you? When you turn to the man against our prayer for you to produce vice president, the woman is old. He can't come to be vice president. But we, and I could be doing the job for you. Can you go everywhere? No. The woman is old. He can't come to be vice president. But we, and I could be doing the job for you. Can you go everywhere? No.
That's the voice that we heard belonging to Prince Y. Johnson, the senator from Limba County. Mr. Sherry, does this sound like PYJ? And does it sound like something that he will say? And I'm asking this because some are disputing that this was doctor. So first, let's validate from you the authenticity of this. And I'm not putting you in a position of being this expert to know whether it's true or not. But what you make of this audio?
I understand. By no means you're doing that. But aren't we accustomed to Prince Yomi Johnson? We've spent the better part of our lives now, Dennis, and Prince Johnson in some way, shape, or form has been in our lives from the days of the MPF incursion into Liberia, when Prince Johnson broke away from Charles Taylor, and up to the point where he arrested the president, Samuel Doe, and murdered Samuel Doe. So that voice has not changed. The same person we heard, we saw in the videos, and we've heard in many audio interviews, is the same person, the same voice. So I'm not a voice analyst. However, I do know, it's really known to all. It should be known to most Liberians, if not, the majority of Liberians. Once you hear Prince Johnson, especially Liberians who were alive, who knew, who were adults and lived during the Civil War. So this is Prince Johnson. There's no doubt about it. So yes, we can say we can verify the authenticity of Mr. Johnson's voice on this audio. And so Delegate there, reference to Complet in Nimba County. He's probably speaking to someone in Complet. I heard with the mayor of Complet that he was talking to there in the audio. So Prince Johnson, so if we took this apart, Prince Johnson, say all you want about Prince Johnson, he is smart. He knows what he's doing there. Prince Johnson has campaigned as a tribalist. He has campaigned as a regionalist, someone who believed that, Nimba County was left behind, someone who believed that Nimba County was repressed under the military autocracy, someone who believed that he is the liberator of Nimba County. After, don't we remember those days when after 1985, when, the army actually chased down people from Nimba County, so you couldn't be a certain tribe from Nimba County. You were the target of the military, and we went on to the Civil War like that. And so Prince Johnson is seen as the embodiment of the liberation, if you will, of the people of Nimba County from that autocracy. And so when Prince Johnson speaks, he brings that credential. He brings a level of, like some people will say, gravitas. So he has a level of respectability in Nimba County. And it is from there that he speaks to a lot of the voters, not all of the voters, but a lot of the voters who see him as the embodiment of their aspiration for Liberia, I suppose.
Thank you. Let me go to Mr. Aliyu Kamara. Mr. Aliyu, this is allegedly Prince Johnson speaking. What do you make of the authenticity of that audio tape?
No, I personally cannot authenticate the audio tape. However, what I would say is, we who support Joseph Yumambaka, we do understand that it is a big campaign. It is a very huge campaign, a campaign that is more than an auto style campaign. So we also know that we are in a state of democracy. We know that people are liable and people are actually entitled to their own opinions and perception. What I can assure the Liberian people is that Prince Johnson is playing his card in Nimba County, where he's charged by the campaign team to make that county available to Joseph Boakai in however way he can. And we think he's doing that to the best of his ability. However, the insinuation or the what most political pundits or analysts would consider or analyze this video, that Joseph Boakai will just be a puppet and blah blah blah, and all of these statements. We know where they're coming from. We know what they're saying. They said these things about Benin Ayure, a relationship with Joseph Boakai, Dennis, you remember. And it turned out that Joseph Boakai wasn't the kind of guy they thought he was. We saw that with Henry Costa, proximity with Boakai, and people said that Henry Costa was the driver and Joseph Boakai was only a passenger. And when it came to a point, they realized that what they thought was actually not the fact.
Aliu, do you believe this is Prince Johnson talking about Mr. Boakai like this?
First of all, like I said before, I cannot authenticate.
Is there something that Prince Johnson would say? Because you were saying, well, his duty is to give us Nimba, and he's delivering that. So whatever strategy he uses really doesn't matter. All we want is Nimba for Boakai.
See, the point of the campaign is to win vote. If Prince Johnson is doing something, he knows Nimba better than we do. If Prince Johnson is doing something that is rallying support for Joe Boakai, who is Joe Boakai to tell him not to do that? Why do you go on a football field, Dennis? You go to win. If your teammate plays a handball and the referee doesn't see the handball, what do? Tell the referee, oh, my teammate hit the ball with his hands, so stop the game? No, you want to win. That is the basis for which a campaign is arranged. And therefore, whether or not that is the voice of Prince Johnson, what we know from all indications, all poll indicates that as we speak, the Joseph Boakai team has at least 70% of the vote in the Bakate currently as we speak. So that's what we look forward to.
Right. That also means that you can dance with the devil, something that was attributed to Mr. Boakai.
Dennis, you're coming very low. I can't hear everything you're saying.
No, I'm saying you use the soccer analogy that even if you score a handball, you take it because you want to win. So in other words, something was attributed to Mr. Boakai from the beginning that he said, I want to win. I can even dance with the devil. Is that what you are alluding to?
Dennis, we are preempting things, and I think we have been a little premature with these things. In election, in the process of election, things happens. At that particular moment, the goal in any election, anywhere in the world, the primary goal is to win the election. What every pundit or supporter says in the election it's not a representation of the character of that standard bearer. At that particular point in time, though, we have one thing we'll say, and we'll say it anywhere. You win, then you govern. If you don't win, doesn't matter how credible you are, whatever clean man you are, whether you work in corporate this and corporate that, as long as you don't win, it doesn't matter who you are. So what's more important right now is winning. Now, if Prince Johnson went somewhere and killed someone, raped someone, now that's a different ball game. But during campaign time, there are a lot of rhetoric that goes on, and it's a fair game.
Thank you. Alice, someone listen to this and say, but this is nothing new. For you, is this something that, is it new? Is it old news for you? Or is it something that is very, that Prince Johnson can say?
Well, why I do think that the tape is somehow doctored, maybe from different things he has said before. But Prince is capable of seeing those things, you know. I mean, I listen to his campaign videos, and all he does is either inciting, if it is not telling his audience that the entire government of CDC is comprising of people from the Southeast, then he's saying something, you know, that will make against each other. So he's preaching regional politics, which I know killing somebody, but if you say something that could kill somebody when that person dies, it's you that killed the person. So you say all these things. Liberia is fragile. And if people use your words, target particular people or certain people from certain region, it will be attributed to you. So why the goal is for people to win election, I think people should also be careful what they say about other people. So in the tape, you know, when you listen to it, I mean, what could make Prince Johnson to join Ambassador Boakai? He got something in it. He wants something. Everybody knows why he left, you know, the current administration. He can't hide his feelings. He knows what he wants, and he goes after what he wants. He's not hiding it. So it is possible he could have mentioned that somewhere. It might not be on this campaign, but the internet is very powerful, can connect videos or audios to make it seem like it happened at a particular moment. So I'm believing Prince Johnson must have said these things at another time, but they were doctored to make it seem like he said them during the campaign. But Prince Johnson is that the voice is his voice. Nobody is attributing that to him. But the only difference, I think he must have said them at different locations, and they were all doctored to make it seem like they happened today. But yes, Prince Johnson is capable of saying those things.
Thank you. Tavina, what's your take on this audio?
Good evening, everybody, and my apologies, I'm late. So on to the video or audio. There's no telling that it's Prince Johnson's voice. I think my concern there, several concerns, and I think Alice mentioned one of them. When did this happen, and in what context he was speaking, and who can verify those information other than Mr. Johnson and the person he was having this conversation to? Now, I haven't heard any subsequent press briefing or anything to say that Prince Johnson saying like, oh, I said this 2022 or I said it 2021, and then whoever that he was speaking to. So, but based on several tips that I've listened to, several tips I've listened to about Prince Johnson, and having lived in an environment with Prince Johnson for over a year during the war, I can clearly say that's his voice. But I don't know when it was said. I don't know what context. I don't know under what circumstances. I can't even say that the audio was doctored, or there were pieces from past, present, and all kinds of that, because we're not there, so we don't know if we're doctors. So I can't say that.
Right,
but clearly it's him.
Is he? But has he in any way demonstrated what is attributed to him on this audio? Has he shown anything that, hey, the reason we are doing this is we want Nimba to be the vice president, eventually be president? Is that something that Prince Johnson has said anyway?
Quite honestly, I haven't. Following Prince Johnson's statement for me personally is traumatizing. So I don't follow much of his activity, just because I watched much of him during one of the wars, and I have so many horror stories about it. So, but just a little bit that I hear, on him, and him speaking or hear of him, I mean, it's fair to say that he has expressed some of those things in different ways. Whatever the motive is, um, some are clear, some are unclear, but obviously there are political reasons. It may be business reasons, but there are motives to what he's saying.
Aliu, this audio also comes on the heels of another audio that was attributed to Mr. Jeremiah Cohn, saying that, hey, in 2023, Mr. Boakai would not be fit to run. And I'm paraphrasing. He was going to be old. He won't have that mental alertness. Even his physical strength won't be able to permit him. And comparing him with his father now, is it because that's just the natural course of life? So with this coming up, do you see this as a propaganda ways to get Mr. Wakai, or do you think that people that once were not in favor are now in favor because they are on the same team?
Yeah, but Dennis, you have to understand that politics is not a game for children. Politics is a
What does
tough
that mean?
game. Well, what that means, I like to, because we have a football president, I like to illustrate using football, as an example. Dennis, when you play football back in the days in the mid to late 80s, when somebody put you in a defense, you know what you do? You can eat pie. You remember that? So once it comes to defending your goal, what do, Dennis? If you have to take somebody here, then it is what it is.
But that's infringement of the against the rule,
But infringement will always be against the rule when it comes to elections. There's no pure election. Okay? Once you are competing, there is no fair play in competition. If there was, there would be no need for referees. The reason why referees are there is because it is established that something has to go wrong. Not necessarily because the person is a cheater, it's because of the compassion the person has for what they're doing. And they can't wait but win. So what I'm trying to say to you is during campaign, like when Prince Johnson made those statements, some of those statements, or something, in connection with those statements, was in 2017. At which time he was supporting George Weah. Prince Johnson could not attack Alex Cummings to a certain degree. He couldn't attack Bromskin to a certain degree. He could only attack Boakai because at that particular time, Boakai was his main rival. That's politics. Okay, fast forward in the 2018, 2019, when Prince Johnson was still with the CDC, his only rival was Joseph Boakai. So it was fair game for him to have attacked Joseph Boakai. It's not to say that Joseph Boakai wasn't the most qualified, the most experienced, but he had to get the thing that was in his way. He had to get that out of his way, and it's understandable. Now that he's back, you remember now when Prince Johnson supported Ellen, he said if George Weah became president, Liberia will revert to civil war. Did that necessarily mean it was true that Liberia was going to go to civil war? But all of these things are part of campaign strategy. It's a part of the rhetoric.
Thank you, Mr. Sharif. In your state there, I think Rick Suturum, he said, politics is like hectic sketcher that you can erase. You can say all kinds of things, right? And at the campaign time or after the primary, you can just wipe everything clean. Aliu is saying something to that effect, that it's politics. You can do anything as long as you can win. In his world, you can eat somebody's pa as long as you can win. You do it.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's part of the problem?
Yes, Aliu remind me as kid we used to also say government bone, right? So government bone, So I was also, believe it or not, defender in elementary school, and never in my career in that direction never went far. But look, so Prince Johnson is authentic in terms of his view of what he sees as his objective. He has an objective. He is saying to the people of Nema County in that audio that, look, we're now going to get the vice presidency. Remember, Liberian politics is very ethnocentric in a lot of ways, and sometimes regional, so that you have a lot of the brothers and sisters, citizens, from the north, Lofa County and other areas, lining behind Joseph Boakai, whereas you have a lot of Southeasterners, doing the same with Wea. So Prince Johnson now is rallying the troops, so to speak, rallying the people of Nimba County behind this ticket, with the expectation that they are going to occupy the vice presidency. But Prince Johnson is looking at more than the vice presidency. He's looking now beyond the vice president to say, look, the president, President Boakai will be somewhat of a lame duck. He's going to be weak. He's, because of age. I don't know what, medical records that's available to him other than looking at Boakai physically. So he's saying that who's going to do the work? Is the vice president that's going to do all the leg work. He's going to be doing everything. Effectively, he's going to be the president. There you go. So now Nimba County will have a president. Look, Dennis, I have a concern with all of this, regionalism and this kind of politics. And my concern is this is to me now, this is a fragile coalition. I mean, so you have a coalition that's really, not about what we're going to do for Liberia in its entirety. What are we going to do for Sino County? What are we going to do for Grand Cape Mount County? What are we going to do about the road conditions that's very deplorable under George Opon-Wea, who doesn't, really know what to do, who doesn't know what he's doing? So what are we, what is going to happen? So instead, it's about this county is going to produce the vice president. This county is going to sooner or later produce the president. So Prince Johnson and others that think this way are really, really biding their time to say, as soon as we get into office, we know that we're going to control the level of power. We're going to now be in a position where effectively the vice president is going to be the president, right? So, Boakai is going to be, if he wins, he will be the president. But, Prince Johnson's calculation is that this is going to be a name only because of all of these
Mr. Sharif,
factors.
This is smart politics on the part of Prince Johnson, you would think?
It is of smart politics. I mean, Prince Johnson has campaigned in Nimba County with videotapes of his murder, from what we heard of Samuel Doe. So, and people bought into this because of the kind of situations that we faced in the early 80s, where people of Nimba County underwent brutality and so on and so forth. And the revert, it was also the case with ordinary people of Grand Jita County that I'm aware of, that also faced the wrath of their fellow Nimbayans as well. So Prince Johnson's politics, this is smart politics. I think Aliu is alluding to some of those. It's smart policy in terms of politicking. You do all of these things. That said, though, my concern is, this may win him now. This kind of thing, if he continues to do this drumbeat of this, he can convert a lot of minds in this way. But my problem with all of this is that, the nation then collectively, the Liberian nation state, is a casualty of this kind of politicking. The nation doesn't benefit from this kind of politicking because Prince Johnson is real. He's not faking anything. So you're going to have other people go over there and lie about what they're trying to do, hide their intention. He does not know how to hide his intention. So these are his real intention. And that is the trouble that I'm having because his real intention, as soon as they get in office, they're going to pursue these things. You know, this is a coalition, and they're going to pursue vigorously what they believe to be the Nimba thing right now.
Thank you. Alice, love him or hate him, Prince Johnson is the master of his game, right? So I don't know why there are people on the other side who are maybe running with this video or this audio. What does it benefit them, you think? Because this is Prince Johnson. Everybody is in Nimba campaigning. Everybody wants Nimba. In fact, I heard someone say, we don't have to go to Southeast. The entire population of Southeast is in Nimba. So if we get Nimba, that's it, right? So Prince Johnson wanted to get Nimba now is very shrewd in this politics, right? So what is it that other people who are not part of the Unity Party want to gain from this? How does it benefit their campaign?
Well, that's a good question. It doesn't benefit them anything. First of all, Ambassador Boakai said, you know, or people attributed him to saying he can even dance with the devil as long as he wants to win. So if the purpose is to win, whatever Prince Johnson says, as long as he's going to bring the votes, nobody cares. So they can run with the video, they can do whatever they want to do, they can say whatever they want to say. It doesn't benefit them because Ambassador Boakai is already aware what he wants.
Tavina, do these things sway any vote in our country, you know, as you look at it? And I earlier mentioned the audio from Jeremiah Count saying, hey, Boakai would not be able to do anything in 2023. I can support him now, but not for 2023. Do these things have any negative impact on the Boakai campaign?
I really don't think so. I think the voters, their mind are made up of who they're going to vote for. In all fairness, everything that we're hearing is nothing new, though. So I'm not sure why people even running with this video or audio or whatever you may call it. It's like in America, the people say all kind of worse things, in their homes and all kinds of stuff. And guess what? Who get to be the brave one to take it out there? Mr. Trump. He goes out there, he just blah, 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 blah. But you know what? It's the same thing that they're talking behind the door, everybody else talking though. So it's the same thing. So I don't understand. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to sway the voters. The voters, their mind are made up. They're going to vote for CDC or they're going to vote for boycott. Everybody else, I don't know. So it's not going to change anything. I think people just need to move on. Sometimes people say these things in the moment. Like that's why I mentioned before. I don't know in what context he said it. When he said it and all of that. I don't have the facts. I'm not a voice expert, but I don't think it has any impact now. The people, their minds are made up. They're going to vote who they're going to vote for.
But this thing speaks to a bigger issue, or maybe the elephant in the room, and that is Boakai's age and Boakai's health, which we most of the time stay away from because nobody want to talk about an old man's health, right? But I think that's the bigger picture.
But then
we're kind of hammering about Boakai's health and his ability to govern. Is that going to be a problem in this election, or you're saying people's minds are already made up? Because what Prince Johnson is saying is kind of validating, or what others are saying, that this man is too old. So if you vote for him, if you are simply voting for Jeremiah Cohen as your president.
Exactly.
Would it be having a negative impact from that perspective?
Claire, I really don't think so. Again, what Prince Johnson is saying, or whoever else is saying out there, the fact remains that because of Mr. Boykot's age, so you can clearly make a judgment to say, okay, because of the age, they may impede the way he leads or the way he makes decisions just because of the age. You can make a reasonable judgment because of the age. Nobody say he's going to, God forbid, that he's going to die tomorrow, but nobody predicts the future. You can die young, you can die old, so we're not going there. But because of the age, the lifespan, we know that when you reach to a certain age, there's certain things you will diminish. At my age, I'm starting to forget certain things. So what about Mr. Breaker's age, But so it's reasonable to say that, okay, governing effectively or efficiently could be a problem. Could be a problem. You hear me before you cost me later. It could be a problem. It's reasonable. So there's nothing wrong for anybody saying that. But I don't know. Like I said again, the voters, their mind are made up. They won't. The way we think here, the way we vote here is not what people vote in Liberia. They look at all the worst things and all this and that, and they make up their mind and say, you know what, you came my mind, you came my bad, no poke, got money, no money, we'll vote for you. So that's what's going to happen. They're going to vote anyhow.
And then is
and just a minute. Another thing, about Mr. Prince Johnson, he verbalizing all those things. But what about the people who are not verbalizing those things? They're going to do the same thing too. It's because I'm not saying it on tip, but guess what? I'm waiting for my time. It's like you're on a McDonald's line. That's how all of them are. They're standing on that line, waiting for that time to be served. Because I'm not verbalizing that Prince Johnson, it doesn't mean I'm going to do it. I'm just waiting for my party to win so I can go get my P5 job, because guess what? I'm not making it in America. And I don't even want to go through the hustle and bustle of just, getting myself, setting myself apart in America. So they all would do it. We're all verbalizing it as Prince Johnson. They're all waiting. Most of them, not all of them. Most of them waiting for that time. They're waiting for that time.
Alice, you were saying something.
What's happening? Yeah. I don't understand why it is a problem for people when they think about Jeremiah Count becoming a president. If anything happens, what is the duty of the vice president? So we already know if the president comes incapacitated, the VP is definitely going to take over.
Right. Their concern is
it shouldn't be something new when Prince Johnson says that. What is the big deal?
They think he's not qualified to take over. That's what.
He's in the house though. He's in the house. He's making laws.
He's
right?
in the house.
He's debating on laws.
He's a lawmaker.
And guess what? And you have a judge. We are leading the country. So what a difference there? Let's not do evils. I don't see it.
And
the judge got a chance. Anybody else got a chance?
And Mr. Sharif, the Prince Johnson, the Jeremiah Count, other people wanted him. They wanted them, right? They didn't get them. So the CDC wanted both of them. Mr. Cummings wanted both of them. So what's the big deal? Is it some form of hypocrisy here?
It is. It is a bit of hypocrisy on all sides, because keep in mind that the Mr. Cummings coalition also have individuals that we've already discussed ad nauseum, and so they wanted Prince Johnson. They wanted Jeremiah Count to run with them as well. So they tried. So it's no different. And Dennis, I watched one of your productions, and you sounded very, you sound like someone who gave up. You compare yourself to that day to, Congo, and things fall apart. Congo, when the British, the Europeans, were able to infiltrate our ranks and, in Nigeria, and we the Africans were, the African culture was defeated. And Okongo, the hero in the village, who was very feared and a bearer of the African culture, just gave up because his people gave up on him. So you sounded, very frustrated that day. And look, so it's somewhat of the same frustration that I also have. So what is that? You look at the the ruling party. You look at the president, who doesn't really know what he's doing. He's not supposed to be in that position at all, right? So he is very incompetent. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's sitting around, and the roads are rotten, so people cannot go down to George Weah's hometown. George Weah, I think somewhere here that that will be talked about. George Weah, probably cannot ride in his, government issue vehicles to go through Monrovia to Grand Crew. He can't do that because the roads are deplorable. Dennis, when we were kids, we used to, from Bayport to Kalipo, this is 30 minutes, at most 45 minutes. But now it's all day. You spend all day going from Bayport to Kalipo and Zwedru, not to talk about Kalipo to Zwedru. I mean, you probably spent, another 12 hours in between there. So what is he doing? What is George Weah doing? This is very criminal.
Bioroad medicine?
Listen, so he's supposed to be a bioroad medicine. I think Boaka put it right. I think Boaka said something. He said this man's supposed to be bioroad medicine, but he's bad for roads. So I will quote Mr. Boaka. He was correct on that. Boaka said he's bad for roads, so he's not the medicine. Look, Dennis. So what incompetence? So is this a don't care attitude or just absolutely incompetent? So in between the two, I have given up. I have given up on George Weah's ability to do anything meaningful for Liberia. Now, so where would I lay my hopes? My hopes are supposed to be thrusted upon the opposition. Well, I don't know what they're going to give me. I don't know what they're going to give the Liberian people. Is this the alternative? Teahjay mentioned, this is beautiful analogy you mentioned, the McDonald's, waiting line. The other day I was at a Burger King. So you wait in line and you're waiting. This is the one I'm going to get. That's the one I'm going to get. So it's a lot of people who are waiting now, waiting in line, so that when their party gets in place, they go and cut their share of the cake, of the proverbial cake, or the proverbial elephant meat, because they always say it's an elephant meat. It's not about the Liberian nation state. It's not about developing. So, for instance, if I'm president, first thing, everybody's getting a pay cut. Nothing is being raised. Pay cut, no more borrowing. No more borrowing from China, no more borrowing from anywhere else, no more borrowing from the World Bank or from the United States, because the money, the resources are there. I'm bringing all of this up to say that the alternative to George Weah, what are they going to do differently? I don't see that, and therefore, some people will then conclude, what difference does it make if he's not there in a year? Now, there are some differences, because, if you get Boaka, you get someone who has a credibility, who's not he's not, it's not a malfeasance. This level of political malfeasance, almost criminal. I don't know if Boaka would do that. I don't know if a Cummings will be so lazy enough to do what George Weah is doing. What George Weah is doing is part of laziness, malfeasance. It's almost criminal what he's doing. And so, but I don't know. I don't know, because they haven't shown me a whole lot. There's a tidbit of difference, but I don't know. Then again, I don't know. Now, to conclude on this now, is that I think Alice mentioned a point, so there's a vice presidential candidate. What do we think the vice presidential candidates are? They are really presidents in waiting. So whether or not Prince Johnson says this, it doesn't matter. It only matters to me because of, the regional aspect of it, the tribal aspect of it. But it doesn't even matter because, vice presidents are always, the president in waiting. So you expect any time to step in. You are a heartbeat away from the presidency. You look at George Weah's political party, George Howard Taylor is it's a heartbeat from the presidency, and that would be a disaster to have a George Howard Taylor as president. You have Jeremiah Cowan, so on and so forth. And so, this is what we've got.
Dennis, you are muted.
Hold on, Ali. Let me play a short clip from Jeremiah Cowan that now vice presidential candidate and see what effect these are having, or if there's no impact at all.
This could happen behind the scenes. So I supported Joseph Parker, knowing that by 2023 he'll be tired. Okay. Knowing that 2023 he'll be tired, he could have a good heart, everything good, but the brain is going down. You're not holding it, and you're moving down the hill. This is nature. My father, right now, I buy him paper. Every day I gotta buy a paper. There's a man who bought me paper before. I'm buying paper now because the time has reached. So I thought the old man could be president in 2017 and run for this. And he himself said, he said, when you run for one term, he himself said it. I agree with him. 2023, no, I disagree. In my mind, he should rest, find somebody else.
That was Mr. Jeremiah Count. Do you believe him then or now?
Well, what I can tell you is Mr. Camp probably at the time had some conviction as to what he felt at the time. But from everything that we see, Mr. Kuhn being a rational man, being a logical person, he has realized that what he... Can you hear me?
Yeah, he realized that he didn't say the truth then?
No, he realized that what he taught, it's not about lying or telling the truth. He realized that what he taught is not necessarily the case. Now, you can't put every individual in the same bracket. Our physiologies are different. Somebody is 40 years, look at me, I'm 40, 80 years old. Some people can see me and they think I'm 60. All right? So people are not the same. You cannot just generalize. My grandmother died at 90 something. She never woke people. So he has realized. So, during the heat of the moment, people will say things. So again, to your question, whether this thing hurts anything. Now, if Jeremiah Kuhn has stayed with another political party and keep on hammering these same things, then we will say, well, maybe there's something in there. But the since Jeremiah Kuhn has realized that I said this before, by virtue of his action, he's saying, I was wrong about this. But let me clarify something here that my brother Sherry mentioned, that these guys, and I understand his point, that they're supposed to be talking about what they would do differently as opposed to this rigid thing. The reality is we have regions in Liberia, and Liberia is a tribal and traditional society. So these things are obvious. We have red and blue states and all of that. These things are obvious depending on your setting. What affects your people is what will manifest itself at times like these. But I want to be on record by saying that Joseph Parker has made it clear, the campaign team have made it clear. They're giving you instances. For example, Joseph Parker said within the first 100 days, every major rules in Liberia will be pliable. And nobody can debate that. Me and you at the time we were born and we live in the rural areas. You could drive from Buchanan to Cleveland in Maryland County and not get stuck in mud back in the day. And they were not quota roads back then. They were still the same dust roads. So those things are possible. And Joseph Parker have told you he wants to electrify the entire country. He can do that. We have the waterfalls. We have the rivers to do that. You understand what I'm saying? He has told you, he said he's not coming to build airplanes and build ships because he doesn't have the time to do that. However, he's coming to lay the condition for you, Mohammed, so that you wouldn't just be in America here talking serious, so that you can go to Liberia and be able to contribute and get paid amounts that nearly or commensurate with what you make in America and live a fabulous life in Liberia. And that is what Joseph Parker is committed to doing.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Friday Night Debate on Focus on Liberia. Our issues we're dealing with, the leaked audio from PYJ. The next one we want us to discuss is the Supreme Court trashed cases against Nathaniel McGill, that's a senatorial candidate in McGill, and Mr. Milton Teahjay, the senator from my own county, Sino. And the first went to the election commission. Election said no. So they appealed those cases to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court said, hey, you are filing this, you don't have the standing, you are not a candidate or or a political party. You are an individual voter in the county. So the case was dismissed. If you put that in a broader context, and I don't want you to discuss, we are not lawyers, but we're going to elections and we're going to see more of these things. How does this foretell what's going to happen in the elections? What lesson can we draw from that? We're not lawyers, I think, or technically, Supreme Court always use that standing. So, Tavina, Supreme Court said, you can bring this case. So, McGill is qualified to run. They were saying, oh, he doesn't live in Mount Gibby. And then for Teahjay had this issue with stealing. And so because of this, he can't run. Supreme Court said no standing.
Well, even though we're not lawyers, but we can speak to it logically. If they're saying that they don't have to standing, then it goes back to the law or whatever the rule was the guideline, what the guideline says. So if there's something in the guidelines that says that in order for you to bring a case against any of these people, you must have a party or you must be of a certain criteria, then that's the basis. And if you don't have it, I don't care whatever claim you have, it's out the door. So I don't see problem with I have no problem with it if that's what the law says. It goes back to the blueprint, what the law says or what the guardian says. And if that's the rule, then we follow the rule.
And so why political parties are not taking, or candidates are not taking up these kind of cases, like in the case of say the Unity Party?
I can only speculate to too busy campaigning and not paying attention to these things, because there's something like that I will take out if I'm in the race to say, you know what, whatever I need to do legally to trash whoever out, and somebody like McGill who already got a bad reputation globally, as with a U.S. sanction all into play, I would want to get him out of there because he should not even be running in our elections. He has no integrity. And much more. So those are the things. But obviously, we know most of these political parties, they're so scattered, they're not focused, they're not strategic in their fights. And so they all over the place. They waste their time on things that they shouldn't be wasting their time on, and the priority things, they put it somewhere else.
Alice, if some of these cases, because it appears to me that people are in a rush to go to election, and if these things are not kind of dealt with earlier, after October 10, if you take cases like this, they'll be tough, right? What are the political parties doing? And I'm not saying they are right or those cases, unless those cases have no merit and they were taking the cases anyway. But if the only reason is that political parties or candidates to file this kind of thing, why are we not hearing from these political parties?
That's a great question. We have 20 individuals running from political parties, and not a single person will raise such issues. I must really commend the citizens that came together and highlighted this problem to the Supreme Court. Even though, unfortunately for them, they are not qualified to pursue such cases. But I think the political parties, maybe they are kind of mostly concentrated on running their campaign than taking up cases that are very, very important to the process. You have people campaigning in Nimba, but if other people in the city, they could take on the cases, because McGill going to Gibby to run, he's going to be taking votes away from people from Gibby. So if you have a political party where these people belong, those political parties could take out the cases and lessen, because the individuals are going to vote for him. If a political party take on the case and he's out, it would be an advantage to some of those people. But they are not looking at stuff like that. They are busy running on bad roads, looking for votes that they can easily get by knocking out these people. It's really sad, but like I say, I must really commend those citizens that took the time to pursue the cases. But looking at this kind of short time to election in October, anybody going to follow suit? Maybe somebody will come up. I don't know.
Aliyu, I don't know what's going on in the UP war room. The citizens argued that Senator Teahjay was not qualified to contest the senatorial seat in Sano due to his prior conviction for multiple crimes in 2018. Similarly, some voters in McGill raised concerns about McGill's eligibility, asserting that he does not reside in the county for which he seeks to contest. And the Chief Justice once said, "Hey, this election are coming. Don't bring some frivolous cases here, else we'll throw them out." Are these things that we need to pay attention to now and thoroughly investigate them? Then saying, "Hey, we're going to go anyway, and we're going to win the crowd file when we, the presidential candidates, are affected."
But there is one thing I've learned over the years is do not take a case to the court if you don't know if you can win that case. Well, what people are doing now is just running to courts without actually understanding why they're running to court.
There's a lot of coordination with these political parties, these big names.
But there are no political parties doing these things. These are individuals doing these things. Now, because the political parties have legal wings, so the political parties know better. The political parties are not ignoring anything. They just know better. Now, there's a law of domicile in Liberia. McGill has a house in Magibi County. How can you prove that McGill has not been sleeping in a house in Magibi County? How can you prove that? Now, with the issue of Teahjay, now the law doesn't say that once you have committed a crime before, you can never run. However, in the case of Teahjay, whatever he did, there was a solution by law. He was never taken to jail. There was no penalty imposed upon him that he cannot run in government. So when you're taking these cases to court, you have to first you have to look at this thing not just from a legal perspective, but from a common sense understanding of these things. You can't just go to court.
Mohammed, if we are so disjointed and disorganized at this point, right? Let's agree with Ali's argument that these cases were frivolous cases. And I mean, people went to the Election Commission, onward to the Supreme Court. These shouldn't be small children doing it, right? And these people should have political affiliation, and they should know the law, right? Yeah. So what is going on here is like everybody doing their own thing, but we expect that when it goes to second round, everyone will coalesce around opposition. So I'm looking at the lack of coordination and running things by other people that is going on now. How can we be sure that all these things will just stop on October 10th?
Dennis, let me go back to something you said. I mean, these are not frivolous cases by any means. I mean, the methodology was flawed, but these are sacrosanct issues that will affect the 2023 election. So we have to be very careful now. Look at Zimbabwe. I have monitored 2 elections in recent times. I monitored the election in Zimbabwe. I was monitoring the South African broadcasting station that relayed, that monitor sent their reporters to Zimbabwe. And on the day of the election results, I got to understand that, all members of the commission are members of or supporters of the ZANU PF ruling party. And so now you had a very, popular opposition that believed that this time around they've won this thing. So they sat back and said, this is a new dawn. We're going to now defeat the opposition. Keep in mind that the ruling ZANU PF party in Zimbabwe has been in power since 1980. Robert Mugabe, who just died at 90 some years old, was still president until the military removed him. So when that happened, the analysis was that you know, the commission, even the chair of the commission is a beneficiary of the ruling party. Why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because these are the kind of things that should be challenged now, and not the rush to go to election in October thinking that, oh yeah, we're going to defeat him. George Weah has the commission, just like George Weah has the courts in his pocket. George Weah has the Electoral Commission of Liberia in his pocket as well. Although
let me stop you, because these statements, what you mean, George Weah has the courts and neck in his pockets?
Okay, so and let me just finish.
As they will say in Liberia, what's your reliance?
And let me just finish my analysis on these, and then I'll zero in on Liberia. And the situation with Gabon, you know, it was a foregone conclusion that Ali Bongo was going to win that election. Ali Bongo, him and his father combined, they've been in office for 56 years, and this was his third term. And you know, as soon as he announced the election results, his cousin, you know, who is the head of the presidential guard, removed him from office. And so, you know, instead of the opposition challenging the things that should be challenged, right? So we're leaving this thing to the novices. We're leaving this thing to the kids in the street to go ahead and do these things. Where is Gonglo in this? What is Gonglo doing? He is the lawyer, the human rights lawyer, the acclaimed human rights lawyer. What is he doing? Not helping to challenge some of these things to clear the way for some decency in Liberia. And this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. If Gonglo has standing in view of the Supreme Court, then Gonglo should be one of the leaders in cleaning this thing up. But where is Gonglo in all of this? You don't see him. You don't hear him say anything in this. It's like the Liberian opposition will leave everything like protests and stuff like that up to the students of the University of Liberia to go ahead and protest against the government. And when they get beaten and brutalized, you only get these one-liner in the media, and no one comes to their aid. So this is the kind of thing, you cannot leave these things out to just the ordinary people. The political parties, Alice mentioned that 20 of them, I don't know if you know that still is the case, but there's a whole bunch of them who are not going to win this. And so forget about saying that, you know, you're going to win this thing. You know, we only have 3 candidates potentially who can win this. You know, we're talking about the incumbent George Weah. We're talking about Joseph Numa Boakai and Alexandra Cummings. These are the top tier, you know, 3 top tiers right now, you know, regardless of what anyone says. So, you know, if you are number 20 on that list, if you're number 18 on that list, you're free to do anything that you want to do, right? I mean, you can do anything. You know, you can be a spoiler, you can take people to court, you can do whatever, you know, because you're number 20 on the list. What do you have to lose? You have nothing to lose. And so that is my problem. You know, some movement for the empowerment, movement for economy and this and that, Democratic Reform Coalition, all of these things, you know, come on and do something meaningful. History will recognize you for this. You know, you're not going to win, and you're going to go into, you know, you're going to disappear in thin air. So might as well do something that is meaningful. And then going back to your question, so we've seen time and again, Dennis, where the rulings of the court have gone along with whatever the administration wants. So let's take the case of a former senator, Brani Samuka, who was denied, who George Weah used the court. Keep in mind, Hitler had courts too. So just because there's a court in Liberia does not mean that we have that our democracy, that all of a sudden this is a, you know, transparent democracy. You can have a democracy without the tenets of the democracy. You don't, you know, the ingredients of a free and fair election has to be there in order for it to be credible. Right now, it's not credible. And one of the areas that I'm looking at is the court system. So again, let's look at Brani Samuka. What did George Weah do in the situation? George Weah and his minions, what did they do in the case of Brani Samuka. He was stripped of that position without then, using the law against Brani Samuka. Okay, and you look at the case, the impeachment of Kabina Jana. So it's not just the institution, the Supreme Court's an institution. You have the legislature as an institution that's also in the president's pockets. You have the election commission. Most members of the election commission, from what I understand, are very close to George Weah's political party. The opposition should be questioning this right now. They should be questioning that setup. So October 11, October 12, October 15 will be late to challenge these things. Normally, when an election result is announced in Liberia, overturned, we don't have any record of the presidential election being overturned in Liberia. So now is the time to challenge these things, because we look at George Weah as someone who's not doing anything. He's not development oriented. He doesn't know what he's doing. I bet you the one thing that George Weah knows to do is to cheat, and he will do that.
Mr. Sharif, George Weah has managed the country for almost 6 years now, and it's not on fire. So if you describe it this way, something that others will say, well, that's how the intelligentsia talk. This kind of language, don't you think that is kind of making those who are in the street, the young people, the regular people, to say, well, they think that we know nothing, and so we're going to go with our man who they think to knows nothing.
Dennis, if I might ask, what do you mean by not on fire? What do you mean by that?
We still have a country.
It has already burned, Dennis. What are you talking about? It has already burned. So you had COVID. When COVID came, what happened? Some people that I know, a relative of mine, even died. So George Weah was doing what? He was going to President Macron in France when some Liberians volunteer to make to produce COVID testing kits for Liberia or some things along those lines. I don't quite remember now. He rejected that and instead went to France to ask President Macron for assistance. He claimed that he went to France and that trip supposedly benefited Liberia. You don't need to go to France. He just went out there when the people were dying in Liberia, went to France with his family and vacationed over there. Okay, while people were dying. Again, while the country was going through, the harshness of the economy, hunger, disease, and what have you. What was George Weah doing in the summer? He was watching World Cup soccer. George Weah was at the World Cup, Dennis. I think you remember that. When he spent about 2 months out of the country. This is not how a leader should run a country. When you say that the country is not, he managed the country is not burning, Dennis, I'm surprised by that, because the country has already burned down. So you need somebody now to put out the fire. Somebody has to come in there quick to put out the fire.
Thank you.
I mean, you look at the bad roads that we've been talking. We haven't even covered bad roads. So this country has burned down. This country is in right now, this is hell. And somebody needs to rescue it, from what's going on.
Would that be the rescue team? But let's leave it at that. Let's leave it at that. Let's bring on to our final topic of the night. That there's some documents going around. People believe leaked documents from the CDC war room about the CDC strategy and their campaign. I try to take a look at it, so that all of us together we can make sense of it. This is at one of it talk about the key strategy, and I'm going to be showing them at random here. I know some of you look at it, and Tavina, you're very good at analyzing documents. So I want you to be the first, but let's go through this one. Talk about their key strategy, constitute a campaign project implementation team. And first of all, I don't know if this is authentic or not, but I saw it and wanted to share. Budget summary, you're talking about 3 million here, 5 million there. So this is not small money. We look at this, I couldn't read very well. And they have their strategy for still on the budget. They have their strategy for a first round victory. So they say in 2017, 2023, there's the rate and some documents that you have time to go through, budget summary. Right. Tavina, let me start with you. You went through this document. What did you find?
Actually, I really didn't go through it. That's why you see me like this. I had to put on my auditor glasses. No, honestly, just looking at the document, even if let's just say, even if it was a true document, but we don't know, we can't authenticate whether the document is, or, from them or the source. But just to know that they have such plan, one thing that struck out to me, or probably the only thing is, taxpayer money being wasted here for personal use. I'm not going to go into all their plan, how they're going to put money in there. I'm curious to know where they're getting the money from other than taxpayer money, because we know that these people don't have money of their own. It's coming from central bank. It's coming from finance. So this is taxpayer money that should be going to education, that should be going to JFK or other hospitals. We saw, I think, a couple of times this week, the U.S. students were striking. So, and then they got this campaign, looking at how much they're paying for, phones, how they're going to pay, they budget there for transportation and all of that just to win election. And, this is just, Mr. Sharif said it before, this is stealing, broad daylight stealing, this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. Hopefully this is not true, but if it's true, I'm curious to know where they're taking this money from. Nobody will tell me, say, oh, France government promised them this and this and that. That's election. That is unacceptable. Also in elections, you can't be taking money from other government, to fund your election. I know here you can't do it. So I don't know. I don't think Liberia is acceptable either. God, what laws here and Liberia is not too off. But knowing this government, I can just say that's taxpayer money.
Aliu.
Yes, sir.
Do you believe this document is real? And where's the UP UNO document?
No, because the UP does not have $15 million anywhere. The UP barely have $1 million. With all of the solicitations, all of the galvanizing and fund rallies, the UP have not yet been able to come up with $1 million. In fact, a UP campaign is a grassroots campaign.
But do you think this is authentic?
Well, I don't want to say what I think, but from every indication, there is fire. Smoke is coming out of that place, and we can draw conclusions here, Dennis. If you look at the bills, the money that are coming out on the market now, brand new money, feel like plastic coated, brand new $1,000 bill that had never been released in the money market, that are now being released. A few days ago, it started being released. They started it in Bomi County, Cape May County, and Bapu County, and now it's spreading over the country. Where is this money coming from? We know that there were billions of dollars printed a couple of years ago. The government did not release that in the market. Normally, when you print money, you withdraw the old money and replace it with the new money. The government did not do that. The government infused few dollars, about $2 or $3 billion into the economy. In fact, that added to the inflation in Liberia because the old money was in circulation, while the new money came and joined the old money to get in circulation. Of course, that was surplus of money, loss of money, small goods. So things prices went up. Now, if they would tell you that they're budgeting, they are potentially planning to spend up to $50 million with breakdowns, clear breakdowns. And we actually see evidence of this because we saw them bus people. Now they're talking about transportation. I think it's about $3.7 million they got there for transportation. We see them bus people from district to district in Moselato County. Do you really believe that these young boys and young girls will leave their families at home and just get on South Joseph buses and just be flatting around the streets without any benefit? They don't love Joshua that much. We saw those buses going as far as Grand Cape Mount County. So we can actually agree that they have a budget for transportation to be busing. They have a budget for transportation to bus people around. Now, whether the amount $50 million, how they'll come up with it, I can clearly tell you, I'm pretty sure they already have it. You know, how people can say when a blind man say, I will chunk you, more than likely the rag is in his hand. So I believe that these guys have money. So somebody can say, people can say, oh, why would they take their money from there? Many loopholes. We know they have money that they take from the national budget for domestic debt. Now, some of these companies that are listed cannot be found anywhere. There's no business registration for any of these companies or some of these companies in Liberia. However, the state collect money for these companies and say they're paying them off in a tune of millions. So where do these funds go? So these guys have this money. I would not want to spend my time on a big adjective and authenticate, but what I would tell you is these guys have something under their sleeves.
Thank you. Well, Alice, even though we cannot say this is true or false, but we see something from the CDC. We have not been able to see anything from the opposition as to how they're doing their financing, who's giving them money, anything financial record. And I think the election law says they should publish these things. There was instance where the 70,000 from Mr. Cummings' retired suffrage rally is still, we still don't know where it is. So what can the opposition tell us too, that in fact they are transparent? Can we know the source of the money that they are using also? Or it's just weird?
Well, it doesn't really have to be we are alone, because if you are coming to replace somebody, that means you are expected to make a change, a positive change for that matter. And so coming to the elections, everybody's supposed to be transparent. It's not only President Weah. You have to show, even if he's not coming up to be the opposition, to start to show to the Liberian people that they are transparent, and this is going to be the hallmark of the Liberian society, that everything that is done should be in the open, so that people would know that it's not going to be business as usual when they get to power. So we expect for the opposition to show us the source of all the fundings that's going on, all the campaigns, all the cars, the motorbikes that they are using. How are they getting the money? Many times we heard that the VP doesn't have any money. We heard that many times. But yet people are, running campaigns. So how are they managing? Are they contributing as individuals? Even at that, we need to know. Are people getting money from foreign countries? We also need to know, because if somebody gives you money, they expect some favor in exchange for that when you become the president. So we don't want to mortgage our country. So we need to know now before elections are held. And so we expect the ruling party to show some example here. If the opposition is not coming up, be transparent. This is how we're funding the campaign. Because if you don't do that, people begin to speculate, and think that this is what you are doing when you are not doing that. So it's better for you to be the first to come up and show to the Liberian people how you are funding your campaign. And we'll be watching. And I think the president should take note that the party should come up, the government should come up the individuals that are heading the campaign should come up to show to us how they're getting their money to run the campaign.
Thank you. Mr. Sharif, Mr. Sharif, Alice, said something important. Say, well, every time they say the VP don't have money, but the campaign still going on. There was some allegation of a purported 30 million from that was being allegedly funneled that was supposed to go to the campaign through Mr. Henry Costa. Since then, Costa even ran away from his own talk show. So that's another story. But here we have this thing with CDC. Every time people talk, oh, well, you need this million to win election. Now we see money and we see this, but the opposition too is not telling us where they're getting their money from, and if we ever know how they're spending their own money.
We will never know is the answer, and so it's the reason why people like myself are frustrated to a large extent because if you for me I believe that things should be different, right? So if you are going in, if you campaign on change, show me change at the outset, right? So this sweep, if George Weah is swept in October, that sweep should be more revolutionary in terms of a complete sweep of everything, a rejection of weism, if you will, which is secrecy, corruption. So how do you make that difference? You declare your assets. You declare, for example, the campaign. Campaigns can come out now. I haven't seen one yet. Can come out and say on a month-by-month basis, this is how much we spent last month. Just try to give us an estimate. This is how much we collected. This is how much we spent. But George Weah is not doing that. The opposition is not doing that. Dennis, there's something that goes on during these campaigns. We've heard about quite a bit, and that is the big money donors. Some people behind the scenes, invisible hands that come into the country and lobby around these campaigns, and they come in with bag of money. They come in with millions, tens of millions in some instances. They come around these campaigns. The talk of that was around George Weah during the 2017 elections, and you heard what Henry Costa was saying when he was affiliated with Boakai. Of what some person that he didn't name that approach him on these issues. These things are real. So who are these people? I suspect they are investors, Chinese investors, Russian oligarchs who come into the country, people from different places that want to come in and take our resources away. Because now, the Chinanization of Africa is going on. So Chinese don't have a problem of, spending tens of millions on candidates they suspect that can win an election, so that when their candidate wins. And in fact, they don't do this to just one candidate. They go around, they put their eggs in many baskets, especially campaigns that they suspect are in the top tier. So believe me, a lot of these campaigns have been approached, is my suspicion or speculation, have been approached by, donors whom they don't name. It's a reason why they don't come out with report. And that is a violation of the Liberian campaign elections law. But, they don't report these for a reason, because it's a lot of donors that come around, nameless individuals that that stay in the background, these invisible hands that stay in the background, and they come in with millions or tens of millions in some instances to bribe these campaigns. And so if you're the opposition, you want to be different from George Weah. You want to disclose some of these things so that, the Liberian people can know that you mean business.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to join the conversation, please call 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. Join and be part of this. Let me take the first call here.
Open it loud because they not play the comment section so they can express their freedom of speech.
Our first caller here is Elvis Morris. Elvis, you're alive.
Elvis is already on point.
Hello to the panelists. Look, on the issue of Prince Johnson saying what he said, I really appreciate him, because he said exactly what is on his mind, and he didn't mince words. And the people of Unity Party should understand exactly what would happen to them. The Bible said there's nothing new under the sun. There's the exact thing happening in Nigeria about 20 years ago. I always like to draw parallels to that thing. The Yaradua from the north, who had not tasted power, the majority of Nigeria, a very large population who had not tasted power for the last almost 16 years, where the PDP was in power. And Obasanjo left, and they finally got their hands on power. They wanted their own sons. They knew this man was sick before he even became president. People like Obasanjo and people from the PDP knew he was sick, but they still made him president. For Goodluck Jonathan underneath him, a man from the South South. In less than 2 years, that man died. The people from the North did not want to give up power. They did not want to relinquish power because they said, well, they felt cheated. So the Lufians and the people from Oba County would sit there after creating the presidency for so many years, only to lose it in a twinkle of an eye, and Prince Johnson become the usurper. Fine. The Unity Party must get the power by all costs. And let's just rather be president. No problem. And then lastly, with the thing about McGill and other people who are who the court threw out their case, it's simple. If you want to argue, it needs to be a lawyer. Get qualified for him from the Supreme Court, make your case, and if they found merit in it, they will overrule the decision. But it's what the court says. You're the final arbiter of the law. If you don't agree with it, so that I feel sorry for you. But this whole thing with Prince Johnson, I'm not even going to hop on it too much. I'm really not, because we see these things, if people look at us like we're disrespectful, we don't respect our elders. So when other people say it, then it's legitimate. So we need a younger generation that is essential, because we're not supposed to talk truth, to the elders. But I'll leave it there. I'm listening to the show. Great show.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me bring on Mr. Flomo Livingstone. Flomo.
Yeah, thank you.
So Flomo, sometimes I look at your name as, Flomo, then again you said Livingstone, but anyway, I don't want to say. I don't know that oxymoron or what.
Great show. I'm just going to speak on two things. The Prince Johnson recalling. I don't have a problem with our recording. It's a campaign season. He's talking to his audience, and I don't see anything wrong with our recording. Again, people saying Prince Johnson will be the president. That's a hypocrisy. They're in Liberia. The same Prince Johnson that supported John Weah. That time he was not a killer. He was a good guy and stuff. The same Prince Johnson, the ANC people call me, gave him $50K for his university. Where you have government university that need renovation and stuff.
Right.
Then I get that $50K to you.
FOL only need 5,000, but you couldn't give it to all, right?
Exactly. FOL only need 5,000. The commission I get some 5,000 and stuff. But you go to Prince Johnson, that's a hypocrisy within it. They're the same ANC people that went after Jeremiah Kun said it on Spoon TV, and they're the same people that say, oh, Jeremiah Kun is a bad person. Look, we all are hypocrites. Some of us are hypocrites when it comes to the election. Those who all we support, we don't see bad. But once that person is on the other side, we see the bad of them. So we need to stop this. Again, so they 50K. I don't know. That 50 million. I don't know if it's true, but if it's true, then that's bad. Because President Weah cannot use $50 million to campaign while the citizens are suffering. There's no drugs in the hospital. There's no good no roads in the southeast. You're not able to do that.
but he gets 50 million to travel to the campaign. That's complete wickedness. Thank you for the show today.
Thank you. Let me take Mr. Derek Paul. Mr. Paul.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me, Dennis?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Dennis. So, first of all, let me once again appreciate you for all you do. But I'm also disappointed because, I think, I wrote in the comment section that a little bit of fact checking will at least, resolve some of the false narratives. False narrative number one, Jeremiah Cohn was never, sought after. You see, being sought after, it means you made it all the way to the level of the vetting. You did not make it to the vetting process. Some don't get the respect that you deserve because for some reason people choose not to give you the respect that you deserve. There was a team, unlike Mr. Boyka, there was a team set up, a vetting team. So even if Mr. Cohn, besides his association with Mr. Prince Johnson, did not exist. Just the fact that he existed, in the Senate, his man has a $1 million commercial scandal on him. He couldn't have made it through the vetting process. So let's start this narrative about, comments went after Jeremiah. It's not true. Okay? He spoke to Mr. Westner. That's how far it went. Okay? He did not make it through the process.
Hold on, because hold on. You said you were fact checking, right? So you said Cummings never had an interest in having Jeremiah Cohn as his vice president.
No.
All right, go ahead.
Because having interest
No, not clear. You're part of the vetting process. You're being vetted.
No, but they're not making it a vetting process. All I'm trying to say is they're not making it a vetting process.
This is a matter on the list, they say.
So he was vetted and he failed.
No. Dennis, even though Mr. Westner is part of the summit, you like the committee and you walk up to me and say, oh, Derek, I know you, my friend. We got this position, okay, blah, blah, blah. You must have a discussion about it. Then now, if I agree to it, you take it to the vetting team, right? Mm-hmm. He did not make it to the vetting team. That's what I'm trying to say. All right.
All right. Let's go to the next one.
Okay. So the next false narrative that will be laid to rest is the 70,000 stuff. The 70,000, it was stolen. And the kid that stole the money was arrested. He was brought back in the country. And he was turned over to the police. What else is the CTV supposed to do about that?
Right, but how does 70K got in his hand raw cash? Mr. Cummings is a finance guy. I don't think you're going to take 70,000 cash and put it in somebody's pocket. One person.
He's a finance guy, but he's also not the kind of manager that scan over people.
Yeah, so that was a bad decision. That was a bad decision that. Yeah, on the day of the program. On the day of the program, you are taking 70,000 in somebody's backpack. So that.
Dennis, if you're the boss, I walk up to your team. There's what we need to do to execute this program. And after I give you my plan, you turn over whatever resources I need, you turn over to me.
Yeah.
How is that coming from?
No, I will not give you 70,000K, right? I will have some voucher system. Because even if people are printing T-shirt, right, it's not cash because we want to trace this money. So I'm not going to dispense raw cash like that.
That's a fair argument to make, right? Because that's this, right? In every society, there will be criminals. The what separate, the Western world from Africa is prosecution, accountability. Okay, we got criminals here in America too, but they are accountable.
They're criminal even in my town.
We have a government. Yeah, we have a government that do not hold anybody accountable. So let's lay that to rest, okay? So is that coming from somebody stole the money? You know what I mean? Now, the whole campaign, right? People talking about all these numbers and stuff like that, but they're not basing the number based on scientific facts. They're just talking because of crowd politics and everything. So people running around with, we got this, and the CP is not competitive whatsoever. But we are doing real polling, okay? and letting us know where I was standing in. So one thing about crowd politics, it will not matter, when the real time reaches. And the hope is just to say, what they were saying. You see, when 2017, when Joshua was running, people spoke to the Liberal people that this man is an F, and this man is not, this man will not do the job. What happened to people when they put that in, right? And today, they are living the consequences. But the same thing we're doing. We're telling the Liberal people that this is Prince Johnson and Jeremiah Cooper. They have said it on tape. So they go ahead and let Mr. Burger tomorrow. Mr. Burger will be in the hospital. They don't want to be run by Prince Johnson. So, I mean, we're not saying that in the old years, and we will say that means the Liberal man made up. We're not speaking to UP. We're not speaking to CDC. We're speaking to people whose minds are not made up yet. And according to the polling, about 40% of the first minds are not made up yet. Okay, so that thing will have a serious impact. Thank you for the opportunity, Dennis. Thank you for all you do. Well, and it's a little bit of deep politics to go along with.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. And we need all the help we can to help us do the due diligence. Let me go to my panelists here. Let's start with Aliyu, your response to our callers.
Yeah, Dennis, this thing about Joseph Boakai dying soon, the ANC people, some of their people, they just take it and put that, hey, sometimes I be wondering when would they find a replacement for their young, vibrant chairman who just died recently, who was by far younger than Joe Boakai.
Are you counting the dead now?
No, well, I'm just reminding them that be careful, because when you're pointing this finger, the other one coming back. The CDC were all over the place. Oh, Joe Boakai died. Joe Boakai casket. We know at least 8 of them have died in this campaign alone, and none of them are Joseph Boakai age. None of them got pacemaker. You know what I'm saying? So these ANC people, but just some of us who are not deeply involved in the campaign will respond to them, and the campaign have actually decided at the highest level not to even respond to ANC. ANC is not a target. ANC is not in front of the Unity Party. The Unity Party is a party that came second in the 1997 election. The Unity Party is a party that came first in the 2005 election, came first in the 2011 election, came second in the 2017 election. The Unity Party was also strong in the 1985 election. This is a party that is big. We can't be here exchanging words with ANC. Online political party. We can't spend our time. But there was a caller who talked about Jeremiah Kuhn was never contacted by I think the guy who just left the line by communists. Anyway. I would just say the caller doesn't know. Alice Comey had meetings with both Jeremiah Comey, with both Mr. Crown and Prince Johnson. The records are there. So to say he was not interested, how you would not be interested in somebody and put it on your short list, But I'm glad the callers call in, and we respect their opinions.
Thank you. Let me take another caller here, Mr. Darling Warwood. He has some disagreements here with me. Mr. Warwood, go ahead.
There are a lot of issues that you guys are not really highlighting. And the last time I talked about in Liberia.
And was supposed to talk. You were supposed to give me something.
Yeah, but you didn't get back to me.
No, sorry. Go ahead. I'm kidding.
Yeah, so it's very serious. Mr. Boakai is coming with his train to rescue people. So is this rescue train going to keep the same salary that lawmakers are making today in Liberia? What is going to be left to build roads and schools and hospitals? So, and Dennis, I'm not hearing you guys who are in the media space making noise about this. Like Ali Bongo said, make noise. You need to make noise about this issue. We can't, we have experienced this salary disparity in Liberia as far back as independence. And nothing has changed. And Boakai is now coming with this slogan to be the agent of change, and we are not holding his feet to the fire to address the issue of salary. Imagine people live in a country, the ordinary man live on less than $1 a day, and somebody is making $10,000 calling himself a legislature. Making $10 for doing what? Are we going to go back to business as usual? And these are some of the issues that you guys are not even talking about. You said I'm talking about Prince Johnson, and other that. Even though if Liberia were a serious minor country with serious people, Baka will be out of the race. Prince Johnson and Baka will be out of the race because we saw this happen with Governor Mitt Romney when he ran against Mr. Obama in 2012. There's an audio that leaked where Mr. Romney refers to some group of Americans as takers and beggars and lazy people. And that's what led to a defeat, in my opinion. So we should not take these things lightly. But in Liberia, anything can go. So that is not, surprising. But I'm appealing to you again. Why is it true that some of us living in the West, we are going feeling the pain that what people are feeling back home? Because our pockets are feeling the pain. Because we barely save money these days. People are living like we are working in our pockets. How are we going to save for retirement? Everything that happens in Liberia affects us here directly.
I know.
So like I said, I'm making this call again. If it call for me to pay for a slot on this program so that we can discuss the issue about salary disparity and all that in Liberia, I will do that.
All right.
Because you can't have people making $15,000, $10,000, $8,000 in an impoverished country where people live. People are extremely poor. We don't have electricity, no running water, no road, no hospital. Education system is a mess. And you got people making $10,000 a month. People are driving cars that worth $95,000. Mm-hmm. And people, you fly your personal, you're flying private jet in a phase of abject poverty. How do you address the issues? Why are people silent on these issues? Why are people not talking about these issues?
Or jobs. Because people are not even working.
Or jobs. That's why we have to give president. How many investors are coming to the country? People only left. They never came. And you got his wife in a partnership building places here, and they're talking about she's getting money from her friends. What were these friends when your husband was playing soccer when you were running a cocoa shop in Queens in New York? What were your friends? Why didn't you build a place you're building now? People are laundering money in this country, and nobody talks about this. Basically, I want to stick to one issue, that is the salary disparity, and that we cannot have Rescue 1 and Rescue 2 coming to power and continue to see business as usual. We have to make noise about it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And stop quoting Ali Bongo.
Yeah, because Ali Bongo is in the basement right now.
When he was there, people were making noise. He didn't listen. Mrs. Mamba, your reaction to our callers?
Well, the second, the last caller, has a point. The next president will have to, or the next leadership in Liberia should be able to adjust the salaries. All right. If you want to run a country that is so poor that does not have jobs for the people, you have to cut the salaries to be able to create jobs for other people to have something on the table. So if it is people are making $10,000 per month, this is a country where you can, send money up country and make a farm for less, for less than $500. You can have people make you a farm and produce food for you. You don't need a $10,000 to live in Liberia where you have your house, you're not paying mortgage. So I think he has a point. The next leadership should be looking into that. And this is why you have people running for office. Back then, people were not really fighting to go in a House of Representatives or Senate, like it is now. But when people heard how much was being generated in those offices, you find a bunch of people now running. It's like when you go waterside and they close, it's just wasting on the ground. It's because of the amount of dollars that people are playing with. I think has a point. If there's adjustment, people will focus on other things, private setters, than running to become representative or senator in the country.
Thank you. I think how they call that? Harmonization was supposed to address that, but I think it may probably exacerbated
it. It did not.
Yeah. This morning, I'm going to be sitting with some gospel artists. There are 2 based in the UK, and they've been joined by 2 from Liberia. And they are right now in the UK. They have their gospel program, and now they are having like a couple more gospel programs in the UK. I'm going to sit down with them. That's Minister Bina Johnson, Ambassador Miracle Kettle, Minister Abakulu To, and Apostle Dr. Precious To. They will be with me on Labour Day. That's Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on Focus on Liberia. You don't want to miss it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for the night. At this time, we'll go around the room for your closing. Let me start with Telvina. Telvi?
Yeah, because I'm falling asleep already. No, just joking. No. It's been a while though. I'm glad I was able to join the show after all. But it was a good show. And I think we touched on a lot of issues, burning issues. I'm hoping, and let me re-emphasize, because somebody was saying, "Oh, how you managed to know that that we are paper?" Nobody says we are paper. I was very clear, and I said that we cannot authenticate the paper to know whether it's truly from the base or it's from their book. How it be it, hopefully it's not true, because you cannot take $5 million or taxpayer money to campaign. But overall, it was a good show. We appreciate your feedback. That's what made the show fun and interactive. So keep calling, keep watching, and keep posting your comments, good or bad or indifferent. We love them all.
Thank you. Aliyu.
Yeah. First of all, just to something the last caller raised, and I will include that in my closing, whether Joseph Boakai and the rescue team will do something about salaries, people who are making unreasonable amount of salaries. Joseph Boakai have always been against that, as evidenced by the fact that he refused for his salary to be increased. There was budget at the time when Ellen decided. Ellen was the one who started this thing, giving representative and legislature. Legislatures were not making more than $2,000. The last time I remember under Judy Bryant, they were not making even $2,000 a month. It was Ellen who came, and I believe that was her way of making them more independent. But I think she dropped the ball, and Joseph Boakai refused for his salary to be increased. And since Joseph Boakai left, this woman called
so increase from what to what? Let me just.
Well, his salary is around 21,000
a month or a year.
A month. Vice President, I'm making that kind of salary per year.
Okay.
US dollars.
And he refused for it to be increased from 21 to what?
Well, they did not tell us how much they wanted to increase it to, but they went out. The information we got, because there were no paper to indicate that amount.
Right.
We just know he refused. The information we got, they were trying to put his salary up to $37,000 a month, which he refused. In fact, he said that the money they were even paying him was too much. So that is to tell you that Joe Boakai was. No. Feel free. You enjoying it. You're respecting him more. That's why you're laughing. But here's the thing, though.
It was too much, but he took it though for 12 years.
But listen,
I'm sorry. I'm just curious.
They play you working. They pay. They giving you taking it. Whether plenty or not.
I'm completing that too much. I will take it. But if you complete it too much, then don't take it.
That wasn't his point of argument. The point was not that he did not want it. The point was he was already taking enough, and there was no need to increase. So
he refused the increment.
Yes, he refused the increment.
Okay, so if you make 21,000 a month, and multiply that by 12 months.
Okay, when Joe
And
Booker
multiply
was,
that by 12 years.
you don't just
You don't try
multiply,
to
but
start the argument, Key.
But
you don't
go
just,
ahead.
you don't just multiply gross amount. You
Oh, I should
multiply
be
net.
back.
Okay. So, and besides, even the
Even when I
net,
found the square root is too much, but go ahead.
your mouth is up to date, Dennis. So you're not taking a lot of things into consideration. Even with his net pay, remember now, this is a country man. People are coming. He has family. He has wife.
Let's leave that one because that's the same argument from the VP. He said, "Oh,
No,
even
no,
our
no, no,
salary
no,
is
no, no.
small."
There's a difference, though. We're talking about the vice president's salary. We're not talking about other amenities that
No,
she would
but
get to go and
Bureau
give to
Howard
her.
Taylor said it was even small the money they were making as senators
So
because
you see,
other people coming to them for money. In other
you just
words, people are depending on us. So we're supposed to take it and redistribute it to poor people so that they can bow down and worship us.
Justifying
Don't get
the
me started.
But you just put apple and orange together just now.
All right.
One of them,
next time will be lemon. But go
yeah,
ahead.
one of them decline increment. They use their just
You
pay.
make it 21,000 a month in Liberia where you're not paying for anything. You get
But
scratch
what
card.
do you mean by you're not paying for
You're
anything?
not paying taxes, you're not paying utilities.
No mortgage,
Right?
no phone
You
bill,
pay
no
for
TV,
you pay mortgage?
no car insurance. Government
Yeah.
paying for everything.
And that is, remember one thing here. You are talking about a vice president. That's one. Number two, remember, when you leave the vice presidency, you can't go back to becoming senator. You can't go back to becoming a manager somewhere.
Why?
If your vice,
Say that.
Dickin, Robert, Stephen, all these people did it.
Yes.
uh,
You say you can't teach at LU.
yeah, let me do my, let me do my.
Who say you can't teach at Cottonton?
Yeah, let me do my.
And who said you can become an anchor and focus on Liberia?
Thank you.
Let me do my closing.
He's saying that
Let me do my
Who
closing.
say you can't open a store in Waterside and sit down here?
But here is the thing, gentlemen. I'm just being realistic, gentlemen and ladies. I'm just being realistic. You after VP position, you will either become president or you become a nobody again. You just remain where you are. So this money you're collecting, but let's just look at the plus side. Let us leave the negative side. This is the man who said you cannot increase my pay. No, do not increase it. And then somebody comes after him and say mine is even smaller, and you refuse to give the person who declined the increment. You refuse to give that person credit. I don't get that. But regarding the issue of this code thing that my brother Sherry wanted anyhow put on the opposition, he mentioned Taiwan. It's the reason why Taiwan did not take up this case is simple. Taiwan is a lawyer. He knows what kind of case you can win and what kind of case is now worth fighting. That's why he did not. But then, all in all, it is a great show. It is a wonderful show. Jose Yuma Walker is the way forward. He wants to set this condition for you, Dennis. Dennis, you don't want to go back to Liberia, not because you don't love Liberia, it's because you don't see any reason to be there. Joseph Walker will give you that reason. I thank you so much for having me.
Don't speak for me. I have plans to go to Liberia, and my dream job is superintendent of Sino. I told you this before.
I was only making my closing, Dennis.
All right, Alice, you're closing.
Yeah, Dennis, thank you very much. The show was a good show. I just want to say that as elections coming, there will be a lot of audios, a lot of different information coming up. Not every will be, authentic, but they will surely come up. On the line of Prince Johnson, like I said before, Prince Johnson knows what he wants, and the Liberian people, those that are going to vote, we don't have control over them. 85% of the people in Liberia, probably they are young people, and they will choose whoever they want to vote for. So if we setting standards of people that they should vote for, they might vote whoever they want. So the issue of Jeremiah Count, I think it's belated. Once Ambassador Baka chose him to be a running mate, the possibility of becoming president is high. And because somebody is old doesn't mean they're gonna die, or they might, not think wisely. Ambassador Boakai still has the opportunity to lead Liberia if he becomes president for 6 or 12 years. Everything depends on, God. So he's the giver of life, and he's the take life. So people should not always associate death with the ambassador. So far the show was good show, and thanks to all my fellow panelists for participating. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to put it in perspective, Aliyu, if Mr. Boakai was making 21,000, if you multiply that by 12 months, that 252,000 a year.
That's gross. That's gross, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a vice president you're talking about. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's all. I just want to make sure I capture
Vice
that.
president for a whole country. So go ahead. Yeah.
Save for Liberia. Mr.
But
Aliyu,
the country.
You're closing.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis, and thanks to fellow panelists as well. One of the things that you see from time to time is that presidents leave legacies behind, and it's hard to erase those legacies. The legacy of the military era that devastated Liberia so much was this long term, the presidential term of office. The senators, 9 years for senators, 6 years for House of Representatives, 6 years for president. That is too long. Those are too long. Something needs to be done about that. In addition to this, salary harmonization, the discrepancy is too wide. And I think one of the things, that George Weah did was he followed up on something that Ellen started. I don't think Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was very serious about it, because other than that, 12 years was enough for her to do something. Was to reduce the term, starting with the president. So I think George Weah followed up in that direction. He tried to do something, but the very opposition. When Mr. Cummins was leader of the coalition at the time, when they were all together, they campaigned against it. And so that was heartbreaking for me to know that the opposition that should assist in that direction, they should have worked with the administration in that direction to reduce the presidential term of office from 6 years, it should be 4 years. 4 years is enough. You have 2 terms of 4 years, 8 years. If you win your second term, you go for another 4 years. That's 8 years. That's enough. Senators should be 4 years and not 9 years. But what you have with Dr. Sawyer and others, and Kesley and others, they inserted this. Sawyer started this. They inserted this 9 years. Sawyer was 8 years, and then the military somewhere there, they added 1 more year. 9 years. So this is really, really hurting the country. And I don't think people look at this. And this is something that we need to look at, because the frequency of election, just holding these people accountable, is a way of holding them accountable. And the sooner Liberians recognize that, the better it will be. And in addition, this, pay harmonization that we've been talking about, the disparity is too wide. Who brought that in? Aliyu mentioned it. This is from this is one of the legacies of the Ellen Johnson era. And now is there forever. These guys that are there now, they're not going to cut their own pay. They're not going to take any pay cut. These guys get into to the legislature not to make any laws. Tell me, the last time that Akaras Gray introduced legislation to bring about any improvement. Tell me anything that any of these guys have done to bring about improvement in the lives of the Liberian people. They are there to steal, and they are stealing a whole lot. So this is not just George Weah. It's the whole cabal of thieves. There are some good people. So I'm not talking about the good people that are in there that have good intentions, but there is a whole bunch of thieves. And they're all so-called native people that were celebrating because the American Liberians were executed at the beach in 1980. And shame on these people for stealing from their country. Shame on them for letting the country being the laughing stock of the world. Shame on them for creating a country where raw sewer is running in the street, where the road to the southeast is impossible. Shame on these people. There will come a time, there may come a revolutionary leader that if we are not careful, something is getting close to Liberia. You see what's going on in West Africa. I am afraid. And I don't want these things to come to us because we've been too much. But the corruption, the negligence, you know, what you think Ali Bongo thought that, you know, his cousin was going to arrest him and he said, make noise. He's actually make noise. He's actually saying to people, intervene and come and defend me. He's not just saying make noise. He's calling on his friends to come and defend him, but forget it now, he's done. So if they continue to do this, there might be another intervention in Liberia. We don't want that. So, you know, so when you talk about not burning, the country has already burned, Dennis. And so under the watchful eyes of the natives, the so-called natives who call themselves native people, you know, who were the mastermind of executing the so-called American Liberian brothers, you know, and now they themselves are defrauding their own country. Shame on them.
Thank you. On that note, I said thank you again for participating in the debate tonight. We want to thank our viewers for watching, and even those who will watch later. Always focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. Until then, we end with our song that says, "We are all Liberians." Have a good night, and God bless you.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.